Friends, welcome to Biology Made Easy. In the previous video, we have discussed the different methods of a pedigree analysis, how easily you can solve a pedigree in 10 to 15 seconds only. And there we have discussed the autosomal dominant, autosomal recessive, sex-linked dominant, sex-linked recessive. But besides this, there are some other problems like cytoplasmic inheritance, Y-linked inheritance. Sometimes you may also be asked to study the genotype of the parents. So many types are there. So in this video, we'll discuss these different types of problems so that at the end you will feel completely satisfied. So let us start one by one. Now, let us take the problem number 1. So, by going through the pedigree, answer the following questions. So, what is the pedigree? Male, female, mating, then 2 children, 1 daughter affected, the son also affected. Now the daughter has again 2 daughters and both are affected. And the son has 1 daughter and 1 son, but they are not affected. Now what are the choices? Now first choice is, it is a dominant X-linked. Second choice, it is a recessive X-linked. Then the third one is a dominant Y-linked, and the fourth one is a that is a cytoplasmic or mitochondrial inheritance. So now how to solve? What is the correct answer? Now you look to the pedigree. This is the affected male, this one. Now the affected male has the affected mother but not affected daughter. That means there is no crisscross inheritance. That means it can never be sex-linked. So when it is never sex-linked, this is wrong, this is wrong. Now 50% of the choices are eliminated. Now the other 2 are there. Now the another is there, one is dominant Y-linked, the other is cytoplasmic. If it is Y-linked, so if this male is Y-linked diseased, then what about the son? The son would have also been the sufferer or diseased, but this male person is not suffering. So this is also wrong. So what is the correct answer? It is cytoplasmic or mitochondrial inheritance. So cytoplasmic or mitochondrial inheritance means it comes to the mother only. So you see, here the mother is affected, and from the mother, the cytoplasm or the mitochondrial characters come to the daughter, and from the daughter, again it comes to the 2 granddaughters through the daughter, and from the mother, the cytoplasm comes also during fertilization, it comes to the son, but son cannot transmit it to the children. This is mitochondrial inheritance or cytoplasmic inheritance. Now, problem number 2. The second one is again you study pedigree first. So the male is sufferer, but the female is not sufferer. Now they have 4 children. This son is affected. There are 2 daughters not affected, and the 4th child is also son affected. Now this son will marry another person not affected, and they will have 3 children. They have 3 children, 1 daughter and 2 sons. Now these sons are affected. So what are the choices? Now one choice is it is Y-linked. The second choice is sex-linked recessive. The third choice is sex-linked dominant. And the fourth choice is autosomal recessive. So what will be the correct answer? Now you see here father affected, but the daughters are not affected. So here also father affected, but daughter not affected. That means there is no criss-cross inheritance. That means the character is not coming from father to daughters. It is not, there is no criss-cross inheritance. That means when there is no criss-cross inheritance, that means these 2 are now eliminated. So now only there are 2 choices are there. Now out of these 2 choices, one is Y-linked, the other is autosomal. Now you see, this is not recessive at all, because there is no skipping. In all generations you will find these things. So this is also not. Now this is the answer. Now you see, if it is Y-linked, now you see here the first parent is Y-linked sufferer. Then from him the Y gene is coming to the 2 sons and both are suffering. But Y never comes to the daughters, so they are not suffering. Now from this son again to their grandsons, again their Y gene is coming. So it is Y-linked inheritance. So this is mitochondrial or cytoplasmic inheritance. This is Y-linked inheritance. Now let us discuss one third one. So the third one. Now the pedigree shows autosomal recessive. Autosomal recessive. Then the question is, what is the genotype of the given parents? What is genotype of the given parents? So this is also another type of question. Now here the pedigree is male and female. The female is sufferer. Now they have 4 children. 4 children. The first is son, the second is daughter, third is daughter, and the 4th is also daughter. But none of them are affected. Now this 4th daughter or 4th child will marry one male who is also suffering. Now they will have 3 children and all of them are daughters. But only one daughter is suffering from it. So you have to study the genotypes. What are the choices? Now one choice is capital A, small a, small a, small a. The second choice, capital A, small a, capital A, capital A. The C choice, small a, small a, small a, small a. The fourth choice, capital A, small a, capital A, small a. From this you have to get the answer. So you see, read the question again. The pedigree shows autosomal recessive. Autosomal recessive. What is the genotype of the parents? Now when it is autosomal recessive, it must be this one. Otherwise it will not suffer. That means the mother is autosomal recessive. Then you see the choices. The mother is autosomal recessive at two places, not at these two places. So this is done, this is done. Now only two choices are there. Now you see again these two choices you see. In the third choice, both father and mother are homozygous recessive. So if father will be homozygous recessive, then it would have been suffered from that particular disease, but it is not suffering. It is unaffected. So this is also wrong. So what is the correct answer? This one. Now you want to satisfy yourself whether it is correct or wrong. I should be satisfied, 100% satisfied. Yes, you can do it. So if this is the AA, then naturally this will also be AA. So when this will be AA, this will be capital A, small a. Otherwise, this cannot be AA. Otherwise, if it will be double homozygous capital A, this is not possible. So if this is the heterozygous, then it is heterozygous. So this is A. So what is the probability of this one? This one will be capital A, small a. Now you see, if this will be capital A and this will be AA, now all this will be capital A, small a, capital A, small a, capital A and small. All of them are capital A, small a. But only when this heterozygous is marrying this sufferer, then this is possible. And in that case also, these will be also the heterozygous. So the answer is this one. This is the father is heterozygous and the mother is the recessive, double recessive. Now let us discuss the fourth example. So the fourth one, the pedigree shows albinism. The pedigree shows albinism, which is a recessive trait. If the person 4 will draw in the pedigree and will show which is 4. If the person 4 is homozygous, the carriers for the trait is. So now let us draw the pedigree. Male, female, mating, then one is daughter, the first is daughter, the second is also daughter. But this daughter is affected. Now the affected daughter will marry one unaffected male. And now in the third generation, they will have one son and one daughter. Now see, this is generation 1, this is generation 2, and this is generation 3. And this is number 1, number 2, number 3, this is number 4, and number 5, and number 6. They are numbered like this. Now what are the choices? First choice, 5, 6. The second choice 1, 4, 5, 6. Third choice 1, 2, 3. And the fourth choice 1, 2, 5, 6. Now the pedigree shows albinism and it is a recessive character. If person 4, that means this person is homozygous, then the carriers, that means say out of the 6 people who are the carriers for the disease. Now already it is written that albinism is a recessive trait. So this is the recessive. Then person 4 is homozygous. So homozygous means it is homozygous dominant. Never it is recessive. Because if it would have been recessive, then it would have been affected. So it is homozygous dominant. Now, once you find the genotype of these two, now you can find out this. That means when there is a cross between AA and AA, what will be the probabilities? So naturally, this will also be AA and this will also be AA. That means these are also 5 and 6, they are also carriers. Because they are in heterozygous condition. That means one recessive gene A is there, carrier. So these two are carriers. That means 5, 6 are carriers. So you see 5, 6 they are in 3 choices. But let us see other things. Now if this daughter is AA, when the daughter will be AA? Only when the parents are heterozygous. Otherwise it is not possible. Unless they are heterozygous, how it will come out? How two recessive genes will come out? So they are heterozygous. That these two are also carriers. That means 1, 2, 5, 6, they are carriers. That means this is the answer. Now here 5, 6 there, but 1, 4 is already written that it is homozygous. So that is not the carrier. Then 1, 2, 3, already we have proved that 5 and 6, so this is not correct. And again we have 5, 6, along with 5, 6, 1, 2 are there. So this is the correct answer. You see, this is also a new type of question. So this is the fourth one. Let us discuss another type, so that your concept will be fully clear. Now, example number 5. Now, following is the pedigree. Following is the pedigree for albinism. Is the pedigree for albinism. Already it is the genotype also written. Then, what is the probability? What is the probability of 2, 1? That means second generation, first person. 2, 1 to be heterozygous. So, first letter of the pedigree. Now both male and female, they are not affected. Now they will have 3 children, 1, 2 and 3. Now the second daughter is affected. Now when this person will marry to another person which is unaffected, they will have 3 children. 3 children, first one son, second daughter, then third one son, but none of them are affected. Now when this female will marry another male and will give rise to 2 sons, but they are not affected. And when this will marry to another unaffected female, they will have again 3 children. The first is son, second is daughter, the third is son. So in this entire pedigree, only one is affected. This is generation 1, generation 2, and this is generation 3. And in the generation 2, this one is 1, this one is 2, and this one is 3. Now, what are the choices? The first choice is 1 by 3, second choice is 1 by 2, third choice is 2 by 3, and the fourth choice is 1 by 4. Now, you have to see which one is correct. Now see, following is the pedigree for albinism. What is the probability of 2A to be heterozygous? Now you see, here, since this is the recessive and this for albinism, that means this must be small a, small a. So when this is small a, now the 2 parents, they must be heterozygous. Otherwise, the double recessive will never come and albinism will never be shown. Now, if this is small a, now these 2 parents are heterozygotes. Now you make a cross between 2 heterozygotes. So what will happen? There will be 2 male gametes and 2 eggs. 2 eggs. Now this will be capital A, capital A, capital A, small a, capital A, small a, small a, small a. This is the left 2 generation. Now see, the question is, what is the probability of this 2-1 to be heterozygous? Now see, how many are there? Because in this ratio we are getting AA1, then AA heterozygous 2, and AA1. Now, since this child is double recessive, what is the probability of this one to be heterozygous? Now, after this child, how many are there? There are the 3 children. Because this is already shown here. So, there are 3 children. Out of these 3 children, what is the probability of this person to be heterozygous? That means, out of 3, there are 2 chances. This is 1 chance, so this is 1 chance. So out of 3, 2 chances. So what is the answer? 2 by 3. So see how easily it can be solved. Now let us discuss another question. Question number 6. So 6. So the pedigree shows inheritance of autosomal recessive. The genetic makeup of the first generation will be. So let us draw the pedigree. Male unaffected, female unaffected. Now they have 3 children. So one daughter is there, the second is daughter, the third is son. But the son is affected. Now the son will marry to a person or to a lady unaffected. Now they will again have two children. Both are daughters, but one is affected, the other is not affected. Now this daughter will marry another male who is also affected. Now they will have two daughters. One is unaffected, the other is affected. Now what are the choices? First choice is homozygous dominant, homozygous recessive. The second is heterozygous and heterozygous. The third one is heterozygous and homozygous recessive. The fourth one is homozygous recessive, homozygous recessive. Now you find out the answer. So you just read the question. The pedigree shows the inheritance of autosomal recessive. The genetic makeup of the first generation parents that we have to see from these four choices. Now you see, when the this person is affected, so naturally it will be, because it is written also autosomal recessive. So when one child is affected, will be recessive, and this recessive will come only when they will be heterozygous. So immediately it comes, because you see this is not possible because both father and mother are not affected, because it is autosomal recessive. Here also the mother is not affected, here also mother not affected. By just looking into it in 5 seconds you can answer it, because both the parents are not affected and the whatever mother are not affected. So this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. So naturally we are coming to this choice. Only 5-6 seconds. Now let us discuss the seventh one. So the seventh one, study the pedigree and answer the type of inheritance. So the pedigree, now both male and female, they are unaffected. Now they will have 4 children. 4 children. Now the first is daughter, unaffected. Second is son, unaffected. Now the third is daughter, unaffected. The fourth is son, but affected. Now this affected son will marry another person who is unaffected. Now they will have again 3 children. The first one is son, affected. Second, third, they are daughters, not affected. Now you have to answer after the choices. It is a dominant, autosomal. Second choice, recessive, autosomal. Third choice, dominant, sex-linked. Fourth choice, recessive, sex-linked. Now you have to answer which is correct. Now you see, here the male child is affected, but none of the parents are affected. So it is recessive. That means this dominant is wrong and this dominant is wrong, because it is recessive. Now there are two choices, whether it is recessive autosomal or recessive sex linked. Now you see, this male is diseased, and always the X chromosome from the father goes to the daughters, but the daughters are unaffected. So since the daughters are unaffected while father is affected, it can never be sex linked. So the only one choice, this is recessive autosomal. So these are the 7 problems that we have discussed, and in the earlier one we have also discussed the different type, how you can study very easily. So pedigree analysis is not difficult. Once you have very clear understanding, in 10 to 15 seconds you can solve any problem. So thank you very much. God bless you. Have a good day.